All right, grace and peace, everybody. Just checking in once again via video. I wanted to encourage us in this moment, but really beyond this moment, when it comes to issues of race and justice, to take the posture of a listener and a learner, to read and really to do all that we can to grow in this particular area in the way that we seek to understand and seek to enter in to the work for justice. I listened to a commentator recently who used the analogy. He said, if you had a family member who was diagnosed with a rare form of cancer, you would then become an expert in that form of cancer. You would watch YouTube videos, you would Google stuff, you would read articles, you would read books, you would talk to different people because you would want to become an expert in it because it affects someone whom you love. And he said, when it comes to issues of race and justice, it affects people whom we love and care about. Therefore, we should have a sense of urgency and a greater sense of intentionality to read, to be informed, to seek to understand. And so, I just want to throw out a few books that I would recommend as you are maybe beginning this journey or continuing on in this journey. These are books that I've read multiple times because I read them the first time and they impacted my life. And then when I mentor or disciple someone, I use these books. I read these books with others, and so therefore I've read them multiple times. So the first book I'll throw out, it's called Generous Justice by Tim Keller. Generous Justice by Tim Keller. And in that book, Dr. Keller really lays out a biblical theology of justice. Really going from the beginning of the Bible to the end, he just wants to show how consistently the scriptures speak about God's heart for justice, in particular for the marginalized within our society. And I think one of the things we need to develop as followers of Jesus is a robust biblical theology of social justice that informs us, that shapes our posture, that leads us to engage in social justice work. So, Generous Justice by Tim Keller. A second book is called Let Justice Roll Down by John Perkins. Let Justice Roll Down by John Perkins. This is actually Dr. Perkins' autobiography. Dr. Perkins grew up in Mississippi. When he was a young man, his brother was killed by the police. In the year 1970, he was nearly beaten to death in a jail cell by the police. But the Lord kept him, and he has devoted himself for the last 50 plus years serving in under-resourced communities, engaged in community development work, engaged in issues of social justice, and really he sought to be a bridge between the black church and the white church. He is a hero of the faith. So Let Justice Roll Down by John Perkins, but really anything that he has written is worth reading. And if you could listen to him speak, it is worth listening. Thirdly, the book is called Divided by Faith by Michael Emerson. Divided by Faith by Michael Emerson. It's written by two Christian sociologists who did just extensive research. It was written in the year 2000, but sadly, many of the statistics and many of the disparities haven't changed in the last 20 years. And so, in many ways, it's still very relevant data when it comes to racial disparity in the United States. They speak about how we live in a racialized society. We live very segregated lives. And due to our lack of proximity with one another, that affects the way that we view the world. And it's a fascinating study to see how white Americans view certain things versus black Americans, how people within the white church versus people within the black church, but then also how perspectives shift when people are living in more diverse communities racially. So that book is called Divided by Faith by Michael Emerson. And the last book I'll throw out is a book called The Color of Compromise by Jemar Tisby. The Color of Compromise by Jemar Tisby. This book is newer to me. I read it at the tail end of last year and finished it up at the beginning of the year. It lays out a historical account of the church in America and how sadly, too often, the church has been complicit when it comes to racism and injustice in America. So it's a very sobering historical account, but the book concludes with some encouragement and some practical ways for us as followers of Jesus to be engaged in being part of the solution. So those are 4 books. I've begun reading some new ones. So there may be a forthcoming video where I highlight some new reads. But I would encourage you, those are 4 books that I think would be helpful. But let's be intentional. Let's be urgent. Let's be readers. Let's be listeners. Let's be learners. And as followers of Jesus, let's develop a biblical theology of justice that leads us forward in the work. All right? Email me if you have any questions.